is shining bright. I'm Bobo and Cramer, and they're bringing the heat tonight. Talking New York sports, you know what I mean. BS boys and the kings of the sea. Whoa, whoa, Bobo and Cramer, and the pimps are loud, taking on the world, and they're never gonna stop with the New York grit. They're rising to the top, from the Mets to the Knicks. They got all the scoop, pouring out the passion, yeah, they're leading the truth. Every episode party, grab your friends and cheer. In this podcast palace, we got the atmosphere. Whoa, whoa, Bobo and Cramer, yeah, the stand of the lost, taking on the world, and they're never gonna stop with the New York grit, rising to the top. Get loud. Tune in, turn it up, feel electric sound. With every single word, you're never gonna frown. From the Netline Giants to the Madison Square, Bobo and Cramer, yeah, this man been getting it out. Whoa, whoa, Bobo and Cramer, yeah, the stand up to loud, taking on the world, and they're never gonna stop with the New York grit. They're rising to the top. Get loud. Yeah, the best in the house is where the legends play. Bobo and Cramer, leading the way. Breaking plastic slides, shout it out loud. And the best in the house, we're rocking the town. And the best in the house, we're rocking the town. And the best in the house, we're rocking the town. And the best in the house, we're rocking the town.
And that's right, everybody. Welcome back once again to another edition of the Best Seat in the House podcast. As always, I'm your host, Rob Kramer, joined by my co-host, the great Daniel Bobo Curlin. And Dan, how you doing today, buddy?
One thing I gotta say, I played these games before.
Yeah, referencing your very successful appearance with the Squid Games this week, man. How was that? That looked pretty fun that you had this past week.
Yeah, that was just a little pop-up thing they did. They did in Brooklyn, somewhere at a park in Brooklyn. They did a thing or recreation of some of the games and Squid Games, and I won the thing. Just won some nice little Squid Game prizes. But it was pretty fun if you were a fan of the show, and they had us wear these shirts, like the things that had like a random number on it. If you've seen screen caps on the show, you've seen people wearing shirts, characters wearing shirts like this.
Very cool,
And
man.
I got one of these now, and it was a lot of fun. And unlike the show, no one got killed, but either way, I won. So, unlike the show, no one got killed, but either way, I won. But,
Exactly. So even if the show had been real, then you wouldn't have died.
Yeah, exactly. And I probably may have. I ate some Korean barbecue after that because they had like a Korean barbecue food truck. So I had some Korean barbecue after that, and I may have drank a couple of soju samples after that.
All right. I think you earned it.
A little heads up. Soju samples. I mean, soju hangovers are those are big hangovers.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But very cool that you had a good time there, and you definitely had a better time there than our Mets have had over the last week or so. It's been a very difficult stretch for the Mets, and that's where we're gonna kick things off right here on this show, Dan. And yeah, man, definitely a rough go of it last week. Mets, came into the last week and a half riding high. They were playing great baseball. They had won 15 of 18, and then they started a series in Atlanta, and we all got flashbacks of every bad series that had ever happened in Atlanta since they opened Turner Field back in 1997, all the way from losing the last 5 games of the year there in 1998 to John Franco spiking the ball in a game in July there one year, to just all the nonsense that has transpired down in Atlanta for the New York Mets. And it didn't get any easier. They end up getting swept there. They go to Philly afterwards. They take 2 out of 3. Or I'm sorry, they dropped 2 out of 3, winning only the Saturday game. And, things were pretty bleak coming home, but you were hoping that maybe after a day off this past Monday that the Mets were starting to get themselves back in action. That wasn't the case, as they ended up dropping the game on Tuesday, dropped the game on Thursday. No, I'm sorry, they dropped the game on Monday and Tuesday, and they finally ended up winning yesterday on Wednesday, and it was a relief, Dan, because the Mets losing the first 5 games of the year against the Braves was just unbearable.
Yeah, that was just unbearable. Unacceptable! Unacceptable! And I don't know what's going on. Is this pitching wearing out? But it's really getting me nervous about this team, and I'm really starting to question the trade deadline. They need to get pitching, and and maybe some bullpen help, because I feel like that's going to be the key thing. We're only going to be as good as the pitching and the bullpen.
Yeah, well, you're right, and what are you gonna say?
And we saw the last couple of games when the pitching's faltered, how bad that's turned out.
Well, that's the thing. It just hasn't been the last couple of games, too. We've seen a 10 to 15 game sample over the last couple of weeks where the Mets team ERA is over 6. Coming into last night's game, during that stretch, it was 6.37. Now, Clay Holmes actually went out in the game last night and threw pretty good. 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 run, 4 walks, 2 Ks. Still, not as deep in the game as you'd like. You would have much preferred if he could have gone out there. When you were watching the game last night, Dan, what did you think? Because although I did see, he had a couple of guys on in the 5th inning last night. He did, it was very hot at Citi Field last night. He labored through 5 innings, threw 97 pitches. But I kind of felt like, man, you pushed him last time. He threw career high 103 pitches in his last outing. So you got to figure, okay, he's at 97 coming into whatever the next inning would have been, the 6th inning. And you figure, okay, if it was me, I would have pushed him. You had the Mets had a decent little lead. You could back out of it and yank him anytime you want. But to me, I felt like I would have said, hey, Clay, let's see if we can get you up to 110. Let's see if you got one more inning in you. And if he came in and allowed the first guy or two to get on base, then you pull him. You say, okay, he's out of gas. The only way that I understand the Mets taking him out last night is if he told Carlos Mendoza, I'm done. What did you think, Dan?
Yeah, I think so. I think they should have had him in there one more inning. They should have left him in for one. I feel like one more inning, because I feel like that's going to be another key thing down the stretch run, is how the amount of length we can get from our starters.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. That's going to be a huge thing, because not only do you want your starters going deep in the game, like you said, but you also want, to save that bullpen. We see all the time that the teams that go deep in October are the teams that their bullpens are on point and pitching well. Starting rotations are good, but they come and go. If you have a solid bullpen, you've got a leg up on the competition. And the thing is, if you're having your guys go out there and consistently throw 4 or 5 innings, and you're burning the bullpen for 4 or 5 innings, right? Then these guys are going to be burnt by the time September rolls around. And as we've seen in years past, where they've really needed to lean on their bullpen, sometimes they get burnt out even before that by the All-Star break. So, I think the Mets gotta worry about that, but they are doing a decent juggling job, and there are pieces on the horizon right now. I mean, there is a couple of guys in the pipeline that are going to be coming up. We know that Brooks Raley, the lefty who missed out last year with the injury at the Tommy John surgery last year, he's going to be back eventually with the Mets. I think he's going to be a big piece for this bullpen down the stretch. I'm really anticipating seeing him come up again. this guy they got from the Diamondbacks earlier this year, the lefty Jose Castillo. He's been a little bit more hittable his last couple of times out, but overall, the guy has appeared, a lot over the last month with this team. He's 0-1 with a 2.08 ERA. This is a guy who the Mets got, and you know, when they got him last month, he had appeared in a couple of games for the D-backs with an ERA over 11. But prior to that, hadn't appeared in the game since 2018. So who knows where this guy came from, but the Mets found him. Another guy like that is this kid that the Mets found out there last night, Jonathan Quintaro, who didn't have a great ninth inning. He came in a 7-1 ball game and had 2 runs. And didn't, he looked really good the first couple of batters that he faced, but I don't know if he kind of ran out of gas because he wasn't able to work his way out of it. But I'm a big fan of that kid. Dan, what did you think of Quintaro last night? Who the Mets signed? Did you hear Gary Cohen telling his story last night? He was actually signed out of indie ball, which the same league the Long Island Ducks are, the Atlantic League here on the East Coast. And this is a guy who, for whatever reason, he was an undrafted player. He played college ball. Nothing really off the charts. Didn't get drafted. He's continued to play indie ball since he's been drafted. And now at the age of, he didn't get drafted. And now at the age of 27, he's cracking in the big leagues. And I feel like that's another really big win for the Mets scouting.
Yeah, it's a big win for the Mets scouting department. I kind of debated it was a good idea bringing him in the ninth inning for a guy that hadn't pitched in the big leagues, to bring him in the ninth inning when we had to seal the deal. I don't care how big of a lead it is. Those last 3 outs of the ninth inning are the most crucial outs.
Yeah.
And I feel like you want to bring someone who's handled that spot before.
Also, Dan, by the way, too, as me and you are sitting here discussing this, and I do agree with you on that point, too. You're definitely right. When I saw this kid coming in, although I was excited to see his stuff and what it looked like, it did worry me. They're bringing in a rookie in his first major league appearance to try to nail that down. But I did want to ask your opinion. So the Mets are playing the Braves right now, just getting underway at Citi Field. Grant Holmes against, pitching for them, going against the Mets tonight. And, the thing that I found very interesting is Francisco Lindor just pops out to the left field. Warning track power there, just missed it. But when you look at this game tonight, the interesting thing to me is the Mets are wearing their blue New York, the new uniforms they have this season that they've primarily worn on the road this year because it says New York. It appears to be more of a road style uniform. The Mets have so many uniforms. Why are they wearing this uniform at home tonight?
Yeah, they feel like it's weird why they're wearing their road uniform at home. It is a really weird thing I've seen them doing, but they're doing that. Not sure quite why, and it's gonna be interesting if I don't know. I hope this doesn't mess up the mojo with the Mets.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's going to play that big a factor, but it did catch my eye. A little odd, but hey, nothing that crazy. So, hey, if the Mets win tonight, maybe this will be a new tradition for them. Every Thursday night at home game, breaking these out. But a couple other things, Dan, too. So, the Mets finally beat the Braves last night, as we said. They dropped the first 5, beat them last night 7-3 at Citi Field, and this whole stretch where the Mets had lost 10 of 12 games and just looked terrible. They lost a boatload of games in the standings to the Braves and the Phillies. The Mets were 21 games over 500, had a 14-game lead on the Braves. They had it at one point was a 5.5-game lead over the Phillies. Well, that lead now over the Braves is down to 9, and the Mets and the Phillies are deadlocked in a tie for first place. But just as recent as a day or two ago, I guess it was 2 days ago, 3 days ago, whatever, the Mets were 3 games or 2.5 games back of the division. and not looking too great. And it looked like the Phillies were starting to heat up. Mets were obviously on the downward spiral, and that's how quickly things change in baseball. With the one win yesterday, the Mets now have put themselves back in a position where if they win tonight against the Braves, they are back in sole possession of first place. And that's because the Phillies have gone into a funk. They had a scoreless streak that lasted until today, into the 8th inning, that stretched to 22 innings before they broke it. This against the Astros. They got swept by the Astros, lost 2-1, and their offense is obviously scuffling right now. Things aren't going right for the Phillies, and they had a chance to really put the Mets in a bad spot with the way they've played. But Philly kind of let them off the hook, and now if the Mets win tonight, you're back in first place.
Well, the Mets better take advantage of this one and keep it up and win every series from here on out, because it's got to be tough. You're gonna have to win at the same pace as the Phillies win. They win at a crazy pace, so you got to take advantage of it while you can.
Yeah, especially if they're getting swept.
And to try to not get into these long losing streaks, that's going to be the thing that's going to do you in, is these streaks.
No doubt about it.
If it happens too many times, it does you in.
And you can't, you can't get too crazy either way, but you also have to recognize that at some point you got to stop the bleeding. And that's what the Mets did last night with the win against the Braves, to try to, get their boat back level and not taking on water anymore. And hey, that's the situation that they've put themselves in right now. The other thing now too that is going to help the Mets going forward, and I don't see, where are all the people that were so upset about Juan Soto? I had people coming up to me that in my personal life that know I'm a Met fan, bitching about Juan Soto just as a couple of weeks ago, saying that this guy's a waste of money. There's no reason they should send his ass back to the Bronx. We don't need Juan Soto. He's a overpaid waste of time. This guy, all he does is walk. Really? Well, let's see. Let's take a look at what Juan Soto's done just over the last couple of weeks. And not to mention, he is having one of the greatest single months in the history of the New York Mets. This guy, now, this obviously goes back into late May, too, because we're not completely out of June yet. But you can obviously see where I'm going with this. Over his last 30 games, Juan Soto is hitting .291 with 11 home runs and 24 RBIs. He's the first Met to ever have 9+ home runs and 20+ walks in a month. And he's just killing the ball. And it's even better over, if you shorten it, over his last 15 games, Juan Soto is hitting .314 with 8 home runs. He's just killing it right now. And Dan, this is what the Mets paid for. They didn't pay for him to come out and have a awesome April so everybody could sit here and crap their pants about it. They paid the guy to put up these types of numbers, and that's what he's doing right now.
Yeah, exactly. He's putting up the numbers. I said it right off the money with some of you Mets, some of the fans complaining about Soto, and even some Yankee fans saying, "Oh, he's a turn." I said, "You watch, Soto is gonna bounce back big time." And it's finally showing up. He's gotten up to that slow start, but holy shit, he's gotten good at the right time.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You could say, even though he only hit, he did hit 2 home runs last night, but even though he only drove in 2 of the 7 runs, you could give Juan Soto a big, pat on the back and a big checkbox next to his name for the show he put on last night against the against the Atlanta Braves. And and not to mention too, I think a guy that's really benefiting from this is Brandon Nimmo. And I love Brandon Nimmo in the number 2 hole. I love him there in between Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto. I hated Soto batting number 2 at the beginning of the season. I understood why the Yankees did it, but guess what? We don't have Aaron Judge in our lineup. So, I understood why they did that last year, but it made no sense for the Mets to bat Juan Soto 2. You bet Soto 3, you bet Pete Alonso 4, and boom, you've got a pretty damn good lineup right there. And that's what the Mets are showing right now. Even with the bottom half of the lineup being a little iffy because guys are banged up and some guys aren't producing. Obviously, they had Francisco Alvarez go down to the minor leagues. Brett Beatty has been inconsistent since he had a hot streak earlier this year. And we finally saw Ronnie Mauricio get off the schneid last night as he had 3 hits against the Braves and a big performance for him because I think he was really on the chopping block to head back down to AAA with this guy, Mark Vientos, in position to be returning to the lineup tomorrow. So that's it's going to be real interesting to see how they construct the roster going into this Pittsburgh series as a deep flyout against Griffin Canning starts the second inning for the Mets here. And so I'm pumped to see Vientos back in, Dan. And I think I'm predicting Vientos to have a big second half. I think he's going to take off again and be that big producer we know he can be.
Yeah, exactly. I'm predicting that's going to happen also. I think they should maybe have Vientos DH, maybe Morgan Beatty and a Mauricio at their third base, and then have McNeil in the outfield the rest of the way. Might be their best lineup.
Could be. And boy, what a catch from McNeil in center field last night against Marcelo Ozuna, robbing the 2-run home run from Ozuna. That guy Ozuna is a Met killer, and he hit that to dead center field, and McNeil took it back in the first inning. That set the tone for the game.
I feel like that catch just altered the momentum for the Mets that game.
Yeah, it set the tone.
That catch, like, without a doubt, and Roy did it. And I was making a lot of noise in front of the TV, as you would expect.
Yeah, of course, no doubt about it. And bringing this guy Vientos back is going to make some Met fans make some noise too, because he's going to be putting the ball out of the ballpark as he usually does. So shout out to Mark Vientos. Really excited to have his bat back in the lineup where it belongs. And Dan, I mean, some other interesting news now too, coming from the injury front before we get to some other stuff. On the injury front too, we got it was a little bit distressing to see this news right off the bat as let's see, they were saying that Sean Manaea had what's called loose bodies in his left elbow, which basically is kind of like bone chips. They kind of say it's along those lines for the most part. So he's got something in his elbow there that was causing him a little discomfort. They gave him a cortisone shot, and the Mets don't seem too worried about it because they said they're going to shut him down for a couple of days. And I just saw Carlos Mendoza, his pregame press conference, speaking with the guys out there at Citi Field, and he said, yeah, we fully expect him to rest for the next day or two, but over the weekend he's going to play catch, and as long as he comes out of that with no issues, he'll be making his final rehab start early next week.
Yeah, so I expect nothing out of the ordinary there with Sean Manaea. Hopefully he'll finally be back, finally make his debut this year. He needs to debut somewhere during the summer. This way he can get into mid-season form by the time the playoffs come along. I feel like he needs to get a couple of starts under his belt.
Well, the way this is going, he's going to come back before the All-Star break, and he'll be back, and at least make maybe even 2 starts prior to the All-Star break. So Sean Manaea right now is looking at somewhere between 15 and 20 starts. I doubt he's going to get to 20. Actually, no, I'm certain he won't get to 20. So let's say between 15 and 17 starts Sean Manaea is going to make in the regular season. And, hey, that's perfect. We saw what he did in the second half last year, and let's hope he can replicate that too as he took that nod from Chris Sale. And interesting stuff on Chris Sale too. Did you see he threw that complete game shutout against the Mets last week in Atlanta for the Braves? And then it turns out he made a diving play. Actually, it wasn't a complete game. It was 8 2/3 innings. But anyway, he made a diving play off the pitcher's mound to save a base hit against the Mets in that game and broke his rib. So he's actually going to be missing some extended time in the second half here, which it hurts the Mets in that it hurt the Mets in that game, but that could really be good for the Mets if the Braves are missing Chris Sale from that rotation for a month or more.
Yeah, that's gonna be a thing that's gonna swing the momentum in favor. And at the same time, you just feel bad for Chris Sale. That guy, he's Mr. Glass.
Yeah, guy always does get hurt. It's true. So.
Yeah. I was hearing about. I remember when he was on the Red Sox. A friend of mine that's a Red Sox fan. I saw a post on social media about how messed up that some injury looked when he saw him get injured during a game, right? And I did not even look at the footage, but what my friend was describing, it was pretty bad what he was describing. I mean, I never want to see that happen to anyone.
Yeah. I mean, Sale has definitely had a really rough time, really ever since he got traded to the Red Sox with the injuries. But he had a fairly healthy year last year for the Braves until that final year, that final week of the regular season when the back stiffened up on him. And now, obviously, this rib injury is going to sideline him for a little bit too. But get well soon, Chris Sale, but not too soon. But I'm sure we'll be seeing him at some point down the road. A couple of updates too. We got the All-Star, the phase 1 of the All-Star voting has come to an end now in Major League Baseball, and the Mets have Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, and Juan Soto all as finalists. In this one, the Yankees have wrong one. The Yankees have Aaron Judge as the leader, so Judge isn't even involved in phase 2. Judge is just locked in, and he's going right ahead to the All-Star game as a starter there for them. He had the most votes, like I said. So let's take a look at some of these, at what we're looking at for the starters in each one. We'll start with the American League right now, Dan. As you can see, the Yankees have not only Aaron Judge, he's guaranteed starting the All-Star game now, but they have a chance to have Paul Goldschmidt, their first-year first baseman, take that too. He's going up against Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and it's kind of a joke, too, that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is involved in that. There's a couple of much more deserving guys. The Tampa Bay first baseman, whose name I forget, he's actually on my fantasy team. I forget the guy's name, but he's hitting .330, and he's got more RBIs than both those guys, Goldschmidt and Guerrero. So a little disappointing that he's not in the mix. But then you also have Jackson Holliday and Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres, his first year in Detroit away from the Yankees, having a phenomenal year. Jacob Wilson, the A's shortstop, hitting .350 over there, leading the way for the shortstop of the American League. Bobby Witt Jr. is a good player, not having an off-the-charts season, so it should be Jacob Wilson. We got the Red Sox first-year first baseman Alex Bregman and Jose Ramirez for third base. It should be Jose Ramirez. The guy's had an incredible year. This one is crazy to me, that Cal Raleigh, the guy's got 30-plus home runs, and Alejandro Kirk, the catcher for the Blue Jays, in there. Cal Raleigh should knock him out of the park like he's done to all the balls this year. And then for the DH and outfield spot, DH is just really weird. The American League DH to be up for Ryan O'Hearn and Ben Rice is just ridiculous. Ben Rice, the Yankees, so the Yankees actually have a chance to have 3 starters, but it's probably going to be Ryan O'Hearn, but Rice has a shot with the pinstripes on his back. And then the 4 outfielders they got there in the mix right now, Mike Trout, who isn't having a great year, but he's there on his name. Stephen Kwan, always very good. Riley Green, probably the second best outfielder in the American League to judge this year. And Javier Baez, yes, that Javier Baez, the former Met, now an outfielder for the Detroit Tigers, is having a decent year. for himself there. So what do you think about the AL finalists, Dan?
Yeah, they kind of got it. I think they got it right a bit for the most part.
Is there anybody that you feel has been left out?
Nah, I don't really feel like anyone's really been left out. I feel like this one they got it right.
Okay, yeah, I mean you can't really argue that. The only guy for purposes, because I think Jackson Holiday is a really good player too, but not having an All-Star year, I probably would have thrown Jose Altuve in there. But hey, you can't really argue with these numbers or with these players. So definitely with you on that. The American League has it pretty right at this point. Um, Now let's take a look at the National League, Dan. As we mentioned, the Mets have a couple of finalists in there. Alonso, Freddie Freeman. Look, I respect the. I hate the guy, but I respect the hell out of Freddie Freeman. He is a Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. First ballot, Freddie Freeman should be in the Hall of Fame, no exceptions. Him leading Pete Alonso in All-Star votes right now is just insane. His batting average is 15 points higher, something like that. He's got less than half the amount of home runs Pete Alonso does, and he's driven in 25 less runs. Let's be honest. It shouldn't even be close. It's a joke that Freddie Freeman is leading Pete Alonso right now. As you keep going down the list, Tommy Edman. Tommy Edman's not even having a good year. He's got that Dodgers stink on him, just like Freddie Freeman. That's the only reason he's even in the mix right now. And Ketel Marte, the Arizona Diamondbacks second baseman, should be blowing everybody away. Same thing with this too. Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts is not first of all, he's barely played shortstop, and he's not even had a good year. So he's been hurt. He's been inconsistent. He's on there. Name alone, Lindor should blow him away. Same thing on this. Max Muncy. First of all, Manny Machado should be in the mix, but the guy that should be in that spot instead of Max Muncy is Eugenio Suarez. The guy for the Arizona Diamondbacks this year has 25 home runs. He's killing it. He's driven in 60 runs. For Max Muncy to be in there over Suarez is a disgrace. So that's a joke. When you look at the catcher spot, Will Smith has had a great year. Carson Kelly started off really good, which is why I think he's still in the mix right now. But Carson Kelly shouldn't be in there right now. The guy that should be in that spot is the Colorado Rockies catcher, Hunter Goodman. He's had a much better year than Carson Kelly. Ronald Acuna Jr. has only played for a month. So once again, just a joke. This guy's in the mix there. Pete Crow Armstrong, it makes me sick that the Mets traded him for Javi Baez. I still can't believe they did that terrible trade, and he's killed it. Imagine what the Mets would look like with Pete Crow Armstrong on this team right now.
Oh my God, that would be a good. We'd be like fire with that lineup.
You got that right, man. You got that right. And then you look at the rest of that, the rest of the thing. You got Teoscar Hernandez and Andy Pages. Boy, how many freaking Dodgers can they shoehorn into this? And I'm not saying Teoscar Hernandez and Andy Pages have both had good years. It should only be one of them, and then give somebody else a freaking shot. Everybody's sick of the Dodgers.
Yeah, well, it figures that a team from Hollywood is the biggest fake-ass fan base in the world. They haven't had a real-ass fan base since the days they were in Brooklyn. That's the last time the Dodgers were real-ass fans. Dodger fans were real-ass fans. During the Brooklyn days.
I'm with you, man. And then, obviously, Juan Soto is in the mix right now. He's got a shot. And Soto, I think, has a real shot to start. Because, to be honest, if I was going to have my outfield, it would be Pete Crow Armstrong, Juan Soto, and Kyle Tucker. That's who I would start. But, hey, it's not up to me. It's going to be interesting to see how these votes come out. And, Dan, what do you think about these?
Yeah, I feel like most of these they got right. Maybe they got a little bit wrong a little bit in the outfield because Acuna hasn't really been playing that much. So maybe that one I'm kind of questioning a little bit. But I feel like for the most part they got it right. Maybe catcher they should have got it right. That guy in the Rockies you mentioned.
Yeah, and even Max Muncy and Tommy Edman being in there are just ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. It's a joke. It's a joke. And it'd be nice if enough Met fans actually vote for your guys already.
There we go. Yeah, man. Not just Lindor, because Lindor should be starting. Let's not be on. Let's not be crazy about this. Francisco Lindor should guaranteed be starting. Pete Alonso should guaranteed be starting. They should both be locked in. No thoughts about it. These guys are starting. Now, Juan Soto, I would like to see Juan Soto start. I understand why he wouldn't, though, if he doesn't. Like, I understand that. He got off to a bad start. He's been really hot over the last month, but I understand, that early thing, the early slump could have hurt him. I get that. But we both know, Dan, that the starters should be Pete Alonso and Francisco Lindor, guaranteed.
Yeah, exactly. And I have it that without a doubt, Pete Alonso is going to be, even if he isn't a starter, he's going to be a lock to be in the All-Star game this year. He's having a historic season, and he's on pace to be making the Mets history this year.
Yeah, it's true, man. It's true. And well, looks like you got some fans in the audience right here. As Lee Slater throwing it out there, saying, "So true, get him, Bobo," and she's right about that. Thanks for hanging out with us, Lee. And also our buddy PhD in the chat in here saying, "Get him, Bobo, get him." So thanks for hanging out with us, guys. We appreciate it here on this Thursday evening. Still a little bit to get to. Now, obviously, the game's going on right now. Top three, still no score. Braves just got a leadoff base hit to kick things off here, so we'll keep you updated as it's going along. But one last thing on the Mets before we officially turn the page is, Dan, what would you give a grade to the Mets for this first half? Now, my breakdown for this is if we did this, 2 weeks ago, I'm saying an A-. I'm saying an absolute A-, no doubt about it. An A+ or an A is tough to get, but I would have given them an A-. But after the last 10 to 12 games, a little bit more than that, and seeing their struggles and everything, it's not quite an A for me. It's probably more of a B. What would your grade be?
Probably a B+ to start the first half. I feel like they're getting there, but I feel like there's a lot more they need to do to be there, especially the second half, especially in the pitching department, because I feel like this team is only going to go as far as the pitching can go.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm with you. I think can't really argue with you on that at all. So yeah, the pitching, although the pitching has, for the most part, pitched very well. It's only been the last 2 weeks where we've seen the little crack in their armor. So we'll see how that works out. But yeah, basically me and you giving the Mets pretty good grade for the first half. So they earned it. And then after this series concludes tonight against the Braves, they kick things off tomorrow against the Pittsburgh Pirates in Pittsburgh, and David Peterson kicking things off against Mitch Keller, who don't let that 1-10 record, fool you. He's having a bad year, even though a 4 ERA really isn't that bad. But 1-10 with a 4.02 ERA looks bad on paper, but it'd be much better if he was on a team that scored a normal amount of runs. The Pirates have one of the worst offenses in baseball, so Mitch Keller hasn't pitched that bad, but if he was on the Yankees, he'd probably be 10-1. So we'll see how that goes.
So I guess the best thing the Mets can do is make sure they need to treat this exactly like a game against a tough opponent. They need to keep this game as low scoring as possible, and take advantage of this. Take these opponents seriously. Yeah, no doubt about it, man. This is an opponent they cannot take lightly. Yeah, even if it is the Pirates.
Yeah, and you can't take the Pirates lightly. You're wrong. You're right about that, because let's just look. Last month, about a month ago, the Mets played the Pirates at Citi Field, and you thought it was going to be a clean, easy sweep. Every single one of those games was a nail biter.
Yeah, exactly. And they need to at least take 2 out of. They need to take 2 out of 3.
Yeah,
they need to take 2 out of 3. And what the heck? Did Griffin Canning fall? Oh no! Fuck! Always this fucking team!
All right, let's keep our emotions in check here.
I'm sorry about it. You were
okay.
seeing being a Mets fan in a nutshell. Always this fucking team. Archie, we're screwed. We're screwed. We
The
are
Mets.
screwed.
I thank you, Dan, right now, because I'm telling you right now, if I was not on the air and doing the show with you right now, I'd be a lot angrier.
What
So
the heck
yeah,
happened? Did he fall on
this
his
is the
head?
play that led to it. It was a ground ball, and he stumbled off the mound, and fuck, that is not good. That could be the
He's out for the season. He's out for the season.
that could be an ACL or not the ACL, the Achilles tendon. It kind of reminds me of what happened to Aaron Rodgers and even Tyrese Halliburton the other day.
He's out for the season. He is out for the season.
The type of injury that look, me and you aren't doctors, so we don't know. We're just, playing the guessing game right now. But as we can see live here in the third inning, on a day two where the Mets desperately needed the starting pitcher to go 5 or 6 innings at least to try to soak up some innings for this vastly overworked bullpen, we are now seeing Griffin Canning not even being able to walk off the field on his own power, being helped out by 2 trainers down the stairs and into the Mets clubhouse, possibly for the last time this season at least. So get well soon, Griffin Canning. The guy has, he's faltered a little bit over the last month, but for the most part, the guy has been a revelation this year compared to years past. And as they show the replay again, it was just the way he reacted off the mound. He tried to walk it off and immediately went down. That is very reminiscent to the Aaron Rodgers injury that we all watched 2 years ago on opening night at MetLife Stadium. And as you can see Griffin Canning covering his face, I think he knows exactly what it is.
Yeah, he knows. This guy's out for the season.
Oh God! Well, that's a
and that big nose that dumb big nose GM, get us some fucking pitching, real pitching.
Dan, look, we could complain about a lot of stuff right now, but this guy, has built a rotation that right now, as we sit here on June 26th, is still a first place team. So I understand the frustrations with it, and now, hey, we are really getting hit with the injury bug on this starting pitcher. The way they've been doing it. But hey, look, too, we had 0 expectations for Frankie Montas, who just rejoined the rotation earlier this week, and Frankie Montas came off through 5 shutout innings and looked better than any Mets starter has looked in the last couple of weeks. So, as much as I understand the frustration and as much as we want to go out there and maybe trade for Jacob deGrom again, bring it back to this rotation, I don't know if that's coming. And the guys they have here are pretty good as long as they could keep him healthy. But seeing a guy go down like that, not good at all. So get well soon, Griffin Canning. And
and now this game's gonna take a lot out of me. This game here.
It's gonna take a lot out of the Mets too, because they're gonna have to have now. They're gonna he pitched 2 2/3 innings, so you're gonna need basically 6 1/3 innings out of your bullpen tonight. That's a lot to ask for against a team like the Braves.
Oh, great! It's the worst game for a pitcher to get injured in.
Yeah,
This is screwed. I just hope this isn't throwing in the towel.
Well, I don't know about that, but it's not good. And luckily, it's still scoreless. So let's hope whoever they bring in can get the last out of this third inning, and maybe the Mets bats can drop the hammer in the bottom half of this inning. So, All right. That's a bad note to end the Mets talk on, but unfortunately, that's where it has to come to an end. Let's get into some Yankee
Yeah,
talk, right?
yeah, and I'm sorry you had to see that. You're seeing it exactly what being a Mets fan's like. If you've never seen it before, you're seeing it right now.
And it looks like the Mets are bringing in righty Max Kranick. If I can see, it looks like they're bringing him in. So we'll keep you updated on anything going on in the game. But let's turn our attention now to the Yankees then, as the Yankees had a rough couple of days in Cincinnati, where we were previewing the game the other day when we were doing our Patreon show. If you want to check that out, by the way, patreon.com/Best Seat in the House podcast. It's only $5. We appreciate everybody that's subscribed already. But Dan, it's a big series for the Yankees against the Cincinnati Reds, something nobody has said since 1961 when they played in the World Series that year. And the Yankees weren't able to win the series, but they did avoid the sweep, and they dropped the first two games, the second being an extra, so a little more heartbreaking. But they came out behind their ace last night, dominated 7-1 victory. The Yankees hitting the long ball, playing some good, defense, pitching very well once again from Max Fried, who's probably the leading candidate to start the AL All-Star game from a pitcher's perspective. He threw 7 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 1 walk, and 7 Ks. With the win, he's up to 10-2 with a 1.92 ERA. And you can't say enough good things about Max Fried so far, right, Dan?
Yeah, he did. He's done more than what what he surpassed the expectations the Yankees were getting from him. He's come back. He's come back very well, and on that end, the Yankees have so far getting what their money's worth on that end.
Yeah. So far, the first half of the first season out of this contract, the Yankees could not ask for any more than what this guy has given them. Just phenomenal job by him so far. And, the thing about the Yankees now, too, is that we're starting to see them get healthy from a offensive perspective, as we're talking about the Mets pitching injuries, as Max Kranick did just retire the final bat of the third inning there to send it to the bottom of the third now. Now, with the Yankees, the Mets had all these pitching injuries. The Yankees were dealing with a lot of hitting injuries. The Yankees had Paul Goldschmidt was banged up at one point, but they didn't have Giancarlo Stanton at all this year until last week. Jason Dominguez dealt with a couple of little nagging injuries. DJ LeMahieu took forever to finally join this team. Even Jazz Chisholm missed a bunch of time with an oblique injury. So the Yankees were in some bad, way or some bad ways, whatever you want to call it, with their injury and their depth and everything like that. But they're starting to come together. About a week ago, they got back to adding Giancarlo Stanton to this lineup. And man, when you add this guy to the Yankees lineup, it really just changes the whole dynamic of that lineup, because while he's not as consistent as Aaron Judge, because Aaron Judge, he's the best player in baseball. This is a guy that is still, even though his numbers have come back down just a little bit in the last couple of weeks, Aaron Judge is still by far the best, most dangerous player in baseball. And, Giancarlo Stanton provides good protection for him, although the Yankees don't like batting them back-to-back for whatever stupid reason. They'll stick Ben Rice in between them, which I hate. But, hey, whatever's working, I guess you can't argue with it. Boone likes it. But the Yankees do look like a different team when they got Stanton in there, right, Dan?
Yeah, exactly. They're a different team. They got an extra bat in the lineup, and that's going to be a very key factor down the stretch for this team. The Yankees is how much their offense is going to be a key factor, and they're going to only go as far as their offense can go.
Yeah. I mean, their offense is going to play a big role in it, no doubt about it, especially when you're built like the Yankees are. And one of the guys that I mentioned before who just rejoined the team with the injuries was Jazz Chisholm. And, he wasn't really producing early in the year. Aside from he does have the ability to hit that big long ball every once in a while, but he wasn't doing it consistently enough. Well, over the last 15 games, he's gotten a little bit more consistent. He's gotten that average 291, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs. So, he's not killing it. He's not ripping the cover off the ball yet, but his production numbers are going up. And that's a good sign for the Yankees when you're getting a little thump out of the middle of that lineup behind Stanton and Judge. So the Yankees now will turn their attention to the Oakland / Las Vegas / Sacramento, whatever you want to call them, A's, as Mitch Spence takes the hill tomorrow in the Bronx, brings his 2-2 record of the 3.84 ERA into Yankee Stadium against the Yankees rookie Will Warren, who looked like he was on a one-way ticket back to AAA, but he's kind of righted the ship a little bit over his last couple of starts. He's now 4-4 with a 4.66 ERA, lowering his ERA nearly a run during his last couple of starts. So you got to give him credit for that, even though it's still probably a little bit higher than you'd like. That's first pitch tomorrow at 7:05 p.m. So once again, Dan, this is a series that the Yankees are playing a lower-level competition team. You got to win this series.
Yeah, exactly. They need to pounce on this. Anything less than two out of three, and they will be scratching their heads on what they did wrong.
Yeah, you can't go out there. On the road, anything can happen. The Yankees go out to Cincinnati. They drop 2 out of 3. It's annoying, but you can't sit here and blow everything up because of it. It's that happens. It's baseball, Susan, as John Sterling would say. So, you can take that with a grain of salt. Tough loss, but Cincinnati is a talented young team. So even though you end up losing that series, just chalk it up to a bad weekend. You can't do that this weekend against a bad team like the A's. The A's do have a little bit of talent here and there sprinkled on that roster. They are going to be facing an old friend for the Mets and the Yankees, Luis Severino. I believe on Sunday he'll be facing his former team. And, so there will be some emotions there, but definitely would be interesting to see what happens there with the Yankees because they have to take care of business this weekend. And last thing on the Yankees, Dan, is I want to get your opinion. We asked it about the Mets. What's your opinion for the Yankees grade for the first half so far this year? You gave the Mets a B+. I gave the Mets a B. What do you think about the Yankees?
The Yankees probably are an A-. I feel like they're playing up to what they were expected. So far, so that's probably the grade.
Yeah, to be honest, I can't even argue with you. I'm going to agree. I'm going to say it's an A- too. We are in agreement on that because of everything that you just mentioned. They're still in first place. They're still one of the best teams in the American League. And the thing that does it for me, too, is that they're still in the same spot without Garrett Cole. They're still in the same spot without a consistently dominant closer, because let's not forget, they've bounced back and forth between Devin Williams and Luke Weaver, and they've had a couple of implosions there on both fronts. So the Yankees have still managed to dodge every bullet and still be a really good team. So I'm with you, Dan. A- for the New York Yankees so far. And then, we're just about done. Just a couple of last little things I want to get your opinion on. Obviously, the NBA and NHL seasons have wrapped up with the Florida Panthers winning their second consecutive Stanley Cup. Yeah. And then just the other day, Dan, we saw the Oklahoma City Thunder win the first ever championship in the history of that city for that team. So getting it done in Game 7 against Tyrese Halliburton and the Indiana Pacers. And that was a tough injury to see Halliburton go down with in Game 7 there.
Yeah, that was a tough injury seeing that. I saw the footage of that. That was rough. And I gotta congratulate Oklahoma City. That's a team that I feel like flew under the radar, even though they looked like they were a favorite to win. I feel like not many people figured that Oklahoma City was going to win it. I'm still shocked. They're going to win it. Also, I have to say, talk about a horrible turnout when I saw on social media some NBA Twitter page posted a footage of their parade. What the fuck? Do you even know what a championship is? Because I guarantee you, a team like the Knicks win the NBA Finals, the place will be packed wall to wall.
No doubt about it, man. You have 2 million people at that. So, yeah, it's a little disappointing to see that they didn't have a great showing at their parade there. Yeah.
Yeah, and not only that, for their parade, the first championship for an entire city, and
Yeah,
you got that
it's true.
horrible of a showing. It's a joke.
I'm with you. Definitely agree with you on that. And real quick update in the Met game here. Ronnie Mauricio just doubled, so it's now second and third, one out here in the bottom of the third inning.
Come on, they got better counts on this.
And top of the lineup with Francisco Lindor up, so we'll keep our eye on that and see how that goes. But a couple of things coming out of the NBA too after that, now that it's all wrapped up, Dan, is that last night they had the NBA draft. The Knicks obviously didn't have a first pick. They gave up their first pick last year to the Nets in exchange for what's his name? I can't think of his name. Whatever, the kid they got from the Knicks I can't think of. Oh, Bridges, Mikal Bridges. That's why I had a little brain fart right there. It's been a long day. So Mikal Bridges came over for the 4 first-round draft picks last year. So the Knicks did not have a first rounder tonight. Yesterday. And the Brooklyn Nets had 5 first-round picks in the draft last night and made all 5 of those picks. A lot of people were thinking that they were going to trade 1 or 2 of the picks, make a couple of moves, see if you could do this and that. But probably a smart move for the Nets because they need players. They went out there and they drafted all 5 players that they had. It's the most first-round picks all time in NBA history where a team used all 5 of those picks to bring in a new player and not trade it away or anything. So very interesting night there for the Nets. And now if you're a Knicks fan, you sit back and you're waiting for tonight, round 2. The Knicks have the number 50 overall pick. And, some people could laugh that off and say, you're not going to get anything good that late. But let's not forget, the Knicks did draft Mitchell Robinson late in the second round all those years ago. So sometimes you do find a diamond in the rough. And it's going to be interesting to see who is on the Knicks' radar tonight in the second round.
Yeah, exactly. Will be interesting to see. Might be keeping track of how well this one goes.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So we'll have to keep our eye on that as well. And also just a quick update on the Knicks as the Mets strand both runners on second and third. So not a good job by the offense there with Lindor and Nimmo both crapping out there in the RBI spot. But as we turn our attention back to the Knicks, Dan, the Knicks now will interview James Borrego from the Pelicans after another vet assistant coach, Mika Nori, interviewed last week. They also have Taylor Jenkins and Mike Brown in the mix. And it was just reiterated to us today from the Mavericks GM to the press that Jason Kidd is not available. People still talk about Jason Kidd being in the Knicks. In the mix for the Knicks coach. And, I don't know if I'd even really like to see it, but I also don't know if it's even a possibility. So, what do you think, Dan? It seems very unlikely that Jason Kidd is going to coach this team. And to be honest, at this point right now, a month after they fired Tibbs, it seems very unlikely they're going to have anybody coaching this team next year that I can even be excited about. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. I'm really questioning I'm questioning ownership. I'm questioning the GM, everything about this decision. And I'm really going to question this decision pending the outcome of this upcoming season.
No doubt about it. And there's a lot of expectations on this season, whether they like it or not. And they even upped those expectations by firing Thibodeau. Because then if the Knicks went out next year and got knocked off in the second round. Then they could have fired Thibodeau, and nobody really could have said anything. You could have been upset about it if you wanted to, but most people would have said, you know what, as much as I don't agree with it, I get it. And that's not the case right now. That's not the case. They fired Thibodeau, in my opinion, a year too early, and it seems more and more likely that this was forced on Leon Rose by ownership, because why the hell would you do this and have no plan? And if you had a plan, what is it? Because none of these names, do any of these names make you excited to be the next Knicks head coach, Dan? James Borrego, Taylor Jenkins, Mike Brown, Mika Nori, even Jason Kidd. None of these names, Kidd being the mostly because of his, obviously his reputation as a player, but he also had some success with the Milwaukee Bucks as their head coach, and even took the Mavericks to the NBA Finals last season. But none of these guys really make me say, whoa, the Knicks got to get that guy.
No, it doesn't at all. Doesn't at all.
Yeah.
And
so,
I'm going to be questioning. I'm questioning this whole move all season, and I better not be like scratching my head at what's wrong. We better not be just asking ourselves what's wrong with the Knicks when it gets to mid-season next year.
let's hope not, man. Let's definitely hope not. And finally, last thing that we're gonna get to. Yeah, is this something you'd like to add?
No, that's about everything I got to say about the Knicks so far.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna add something. Okay, and last thing, Dan, before we get out of here, is that tomorrow the NHL draft kicks off, and much like the New York Knicks, our New York Rangers don't have a first-round draft pick. However, the team across town does. That's the New York Islanders, who have the first overall pick in the draft. First time they've had that since 2009, when they selected Jonathan Tavares in that spot. And the time before that, they had the first-round pick was 2000, and they selected Rick DiPietro. So one really good pick and one really bad pick, followed by a really bad contract they gave to DiPietro as well. Even though DiPietro did play well at times, the contract they gave him after that, the 15-year deal, really, hurt his reputation with the fans and everything. But it's a big monumental pick for the Islanders tomorrow. And I just got to tell you, as a Rangers fan, I'm just really happy that Lou Lamoriello is not making this pick. What do you think, Dan? I don't know much about these guys the Islanders got running their organization now, but I trust Lou Lamoriello a lot more than anybody they got right now.
Yeah, exactly. So I just feel like it's maybe a decision that we don't have to worry about the Islanders this upcoming season. I feel like the thing that I question is that during a regular season, if only the Rangers tanked that game, it could have been us, the number one draft pick. And I feel like the Rangers also made the better decision to forego that first round draft pick.
Why do you think that?
I just feel like this draft wasn't a lot of depth in this draft.
But it's number 2. See, I'm glad you brought that up, actually, Dan, because I wasn't gonna bring it up. But what Dan is referencing right now, as we move on from the Islanders, there, is that the Rangers were supposed to pick at number 12 this year. Now, they could have done 2 things there. They could have kept the pick. Actually, 3. They could have kept the pick. They could have traded it, or they could have given that pick to the Pittsburgh Penguins, who had acquired that pick from the Vancouver Canucks after the Rangers made their trade for JT Miller. So in essence, the Rangers' first round pick rights went to the Pittsburgh Penguins. So the Rangers had to decide between taking the number 12 pick or giving it essentially to the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I hear what you're saying, Dan, but you hear these idiots talking these draft things. They don't know what they're talking about half the time. Oh, it's a talent heavy draft. Oh, it's a weak draft. This and that. Sometimes that where they've said it's a weak draft, we've gotten some of the best players that we've seen out there. So, for me, what I would have done if I was the Rangers is I would have kept the pick and either traded it or drafted a player. Because let's be honest, a lot of the Rangers' top prospects have graduated the last couple of years or simply moved on from the organization. And if Chris Drury does everything right, that first round draft pick should be a pick in the 20s at least next year. So I'd feel much better about giving that pick to the Pittsburgh Penguins than a top 15 pick like we did this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I see an argument for there too. That we should have made that. We should have made that draft pick because I feel like right now we got to do everything we can to get this team in a winning position right away. Because I feel like the window is a tight ship, and Coach Mike Sullivan, if he signed here with the expectation for this team to be a contender, and I feel like that we got to make the most of it. This isn't a coach that's just wanting to try to tank in a couple of years. This is a coach that wants to coach a winner, and we need to have that team.
Yeah, it's true, man. I'm with you. So let's hope Rangers got it all figured out right now. As right now in the Met game, Max Kranick is looking to get out of. I'm sorry, it's not Max Kranick. It's Warren. I forget who this kid is. I think Adam Warren Mets brought up. It looked like Max Kranick, but I guess it's not. It's this kid Warren. Mets have up right now, looking to get out of this inning with runner on second. And with that, Dan, too, I think that's just about going to do it for us here on this edition of Best Seat in the House podcast. I want to thank everybody once again for hanging out with us here on this Thursday night. And before we get out of here, Dan, anything like to plug for yourself?
Sure, I got to plug my Instagram, Bobo718DK. I mean, my Twitter account, Bobo103NYC. Instagram, Bobo718DK. YouTube, one word, Daniel Curlin. Also, subscribe to our Patreon, get access to neat stuff like Trackside Minute, where I wrap up all the NASCAR Cup Series action of the week. Also, get the early access to my YouTube videos. You get 1 week early access when I upload videos on YouTube, so you definitely got to subscribe to that. And you get our Patreon exclusive show we do every Sunday, and it's all for $5, the cost of a round trip on the subway.
Exactly.
And more importantly, you support our show. It's a great one of the best deals in town.
That's right, man. And one more thing before we get out of here, actually, I want to give a shout out to everybody here. iRock. Hey, he's got Bobo as his icon there, too. iRock, thank you for hanging out with the Sir Daniel Bobo Curlin in the house. You are right about that, my friend. Thank you for hanging out with us here. You have anything like to say to your fan there, buddy?
Yeah, Dad, thanks. Interesting little photo you took. You took a photo from like the Queen Baseball Convention when I won like some Mets trivia contest. When they had this belt that you got to take a photo with you and get because they do that every year at the Queen Baseball Convention. But that's pretty neat. I won a Gary, Keith, and Ron signed baseball, which is a pretty neat prize to win. I have to say.
Very cool, man. And then once again, shout out to Lee hanging out with us here. Kramer's the man is so knowledgeable. Thank you, Lee. Appreciate it. And then also shout out to Bobo. You go, Bobo. Love the show, and you guys rock. So thank you guys for all hanging out. Anything you'd like to say, Dan?
Yeah, thanks to all the fans. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for all the words of support, and hope you keep supporting our show and definitely get the word out. And all of you watching, I'm pretty sure we've gotten quite a bit more people watching than we've ever had. So keep watching our show and supporting our show. And I can tell you if we ever win one of those YouTube Silver Play Button Awards, I will wish I could parade around the city with that. Yeah, man, let people see that award to show so they could really see the appreciation we have for them.
That's right. You did like the Florida Panthers with the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, exactly. So they can just get a little, piece of that. Just a little piece of that to be acknowledged as being a part of that, of us getting that award. But one day we'll do it. Hopefully one day we'll do it, and you guys get the word out, and one day it could be a reality. At least we'll get to show it on camera, and everyone will know. I mean, it'll be very known that I'll probably have that hanging somewhere in the house. Maybe somewhere in the background so people could see it.
Exactly. And that's right, Dan. So that's going to do it for us this week on the Best Seat in the House podcast. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us here on this Thursday evening. For my co-host, the great Daniel Bobo Curlin, don't forget to check in with us on Patreon over the weekend, patreon.com/Best Seat in the House podcast. We'll be right back here with you. And you something you want to say?
And a word of advice. Anyone who hasn't, I know Squid Game Season 3 premieres this weekend. Don't spoil it for anyone who hasn't watched it yet. Just a word of advice. Don't spoil it. Don't be a dick about it. If you know anyone that hasn't watched it yet, no spoilers on social media.
That's right. No spoilers, everybody. And thank you for hanging out with us tonight. For Daniel Bobo Curlin, I'm Rob Kramer. This is the Best Seat in the House podcast. I'll catch you next week, everybody. Have a great weekend.